Are you ready?
I am ready.
Hey, everybody's ready. John
I love being ready.
Hey, man. Hey, don't step on the... don't step on the intro. John Peckman Podcast. Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge. Go through one set of lights. Start looking left. Did you find that to be true?
It was. Very true.
Yeah, it's exactly like I say it. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Tell your friends, your neighbors. We are here today with Mr. Seth Adam.
Hello.
Yeah, man.
I apologize for stepping on your
It's okay.
Your monologue. I forgot it's your show today.
Well,
you're the host.
Exactly. All right. So here's what happened. So Seth is a singer, songwriter, guitar player, who's making lots of noise and has been around a while. In addition to having a podcast of his very own, the Seth Adam Podcast.
Creative name.
Yeah, right. Which I was on yesterday.
Yeah.
And you're on mine. That was part of it was a transactional. I said, hey, man, you want to be on my podcast? You're like, if you're on mine. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here we are.
It was serendipitous because when you texted me, I was like, I didn't line anybody up for this week, and I'm really trying to be more consistent. And I'm like, well, hey, man, what are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah. And it was like, I'm going to New Haven. Perfect.
There you go.
So this all worked out.
Beautiful.
So we talked about me yesterday. Now we're going to talk about you today.
Ooh.
Right? So I don't know if anybody knows. From last week, we had Brian Konopka on. And he's a former student of mine. I guess he was young. I'm probably about 9 years older than you guys or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. And I knew you through Brian.
Yeah.
And then I was, saw later at some point, like, this dude is, plays guitar and sings. And it was you.
It was me.
And I was like, it's that dude.
That guy.
Yeah. So tell us how that all happened, how you became this thing.
Oh, my God, that's a long story.
This thing.
You want me to take up the entire hour now?
Why not? What else are we?
You'll never have to ask another question.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to leave. How did you become this thing? And I'll just leave.
Well, funny, Brian and I, we were the first bandmates, I guess.
Yeah, right.
To the best of my knowledge. I mean, I think he was talking about how he had Jim Oblon as his next door neighbor. Beautiful. And everything kind of came into circle because Brian and I went to the same church.
Okay.
And that was in our elementary school years.
Yep.
But he went to a different elementary school than I did.
Oh.
But Jim Oblon's mother was my music teacher.
Right. Okay. So it all.
Yeah. So by the time Brian and I started hanging out and, it came up like, hey, I play drums and hey, I play guitar and like we should hang out and be friends and try to be a band and stuff. And then eventually he's like, oh, I live next door to this guy, Jim Oblon.
Yeah. Who can play anything that we don't play.
It was
and more.
It was like going to a candy store.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah.
It was an overwhelming, body-warming feeling walking into his basement for that first time.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, your mom is my music teacher.
Yeah.
Kind of like thing. Or was at that point. Because I don't think I had met Jim until middle school.
Wow.
I believe. Something like that.
And then there's his dad who was out.
I never met him.
Too. Okay, cool. Yeah, he was out there somewhere.
But I knew he was like a jazz drummer.
Yeah.
And Brian and I started playing together, and that was like through middle school into high school, and we, he kind of went his way.
Mm-hmm.
He was big into like the jam band scene and stuff like that.
You said you started on drums somewhere in there.
I did. When I was a young kid.
Sure.
My grandfather had one of those one speaker tape recorders. It was like a speaker, the tape deck, and then the buttons on the bottom.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Rectangular ones. And I would take all the garbage cans in the house, like the little waste baskets, empty them, turn them upside down, get a pair of unsharpened pencils, and play, Eye of the Tiger, and record myself.
Yeah.
And it was like an informal education.
Did you ever sharpen the
rhythm.
pencils?
Nope.
Oh, good.
I had to make sure they were unsharpened.
Right. That's important.
So I did that, and then
the drums first. It was something about it.
Yeah. It's very primal. Yeah. And it aligns me even to this day.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not like a world's greatest drummer or anything like that, but I need to do it. I got away from it for a very long time. I studied formally in middle school and in high school.
Oh, cool.
Not
Moran?
kids. At Moran.
Mr. Rosamondo.
Well, that was eventually going to come up today.
Oh, okay.
Because I never
Okay.
talk about him.
Okay.
But Fred was a massive influence on my life.
Oh yeah, me too.
I mean, I don't think there's anybody bigger
No.
that has influenced me as much as he has.
Can you imagine that?
And like in Wallingford, Connecticut.
I know. No, I know. He did the same for
Crazy.
me. He did, and you think how many other people?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, you did. So anyway, what did he do for you?
I mean, I liked music so much. When I was in middle school, I joined the chorus, the cadet band, the marching band, the stage band.
Yeah.
I played bass in the stage band. I played drums in the concert band and marching bands, and just tried to like immerse myself because that was my thing. Like, I liked sports, but I wasn't like an athletic guy. I played basketball, but I wasn't very good, and music was my thing. It was my escape and catharsis, and I felt comfortable with it. So, and then eventually, into high school and post high school, and then you get delusions of grandeur, like you're going to be playing Madison Square Garden someday.
Sure, some people do.
Some people do.
Some people have those delusions, and then they do it. It does happen.
Lots and bands,
not us,
and projects later, and I don't know. Here I am in my 40s and solo artist, singer songwriter. That's the very short version.
Yeah.
Next question. No.
Well, so when did you start writing? Like, how do you go from, or did you always write?
Kind of always wrote.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I really don't know what compelled me to write. When I was younger, I used to make up songs all the time, like when I was a little kid.
Sure.
And it just seemed like a natural thing to do. And then when I got into middle school and I really started to put all the elements of music together, I was like, wait, these guys like construct. I didn't know what songwriting was.
Yeah, sure.
But I was just like, I can do that. Like, I have ideas. And I just started like putting ideas together. And some of them were god awful and would drive Brian's parents crazy.
Oh, really? You'd be like, check this out.
But I'll never forget one day we had this like little riff thing we were playing, and then like an hour later we went out into the garage and we turned on the radio. We didn't know it at the time, but it was trampled under the foot. Trampled underfoot,
Yeah.
And we were playing something like that an hour before of our own volition. Never heard that song, and we were like, "Oh my God, we're awesome!"
Yeah. Led Zeppelin read our minds 20 years ago and made this song.
But these are these little like epiphanies you get as a kid, and you're putting all these ideas together, and it's like, whoa,
yeah,
wait, I could do it.
Yeah,
they
could do it.
So yeah, that's part of that element. And then I don't know, by the time I got into high school, I really started understanding songwriting better.
When did guitar happen?
Guitar
just
happened,
in there somewhere?
Yeah, probably middle school.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit elementary. So the reason I started playing guitar actually was my dad came home one day and he was talking to my mom, and I thought he said car. And I was like, "You're getting a new car?" And he's like, "No, I'm getting a guitar."
Oh.
And I was like, "Okay, I think I've seen those before."
Yeah.
So we brought the guitar home and you practice. And then I just started getting an interest into it. And like he would go to work. I was a latchkey kid. So I was home for 3-4 hours after school, whatever.
Yep.
So before my parents came home, I would go to my parents' room, take the guitar out from underneath my dad's bed, fool around, see what happened, make these noises, try to understand it, and then put it back until finally one day I saw the guitars in the Sears catalog and I was like, "Dad, I want one of these." And he's like, "Okay, you have money?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I'm going to go get a paper route or mow some lawns or something." And just kind of like went from there. And then I studied with Pat Russo for a long time.
There you go.
Who's another major influence on me.
I work for him now.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm there on Wednesdays.
And I haven't seen Pat in 25 years
exactly
at
the same.
least. Probably.
Oh, yeah. He's there. I'll see him. He's there tomorrow.
He's got very nice skin.
Yeah. I never noticed. Wow. I never even noticed that he had skin at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Pat. Yeah, no, he's, that's the thing around Wallingford. That's a door you got to get through.
So it was really cool. Like I had Fred Rossimondo.
Yeah.
I had Pat Russo.
Jim Oblon.
Jim Oblon was around. Another guy to like kind of learn from. We didn't really start hanging out and we didn't hang out that much, but we
Sure.
were in the bands together in middle
Yeah.
school. And then in high school, we were in the bands too, but we didn't really hang out until like my sophomore, junior year. And then by the time, we were kind of like a little bit more kinship going on.
Yeah.
He was gone. He graduated.
Oh.
So, because he was a year ahead of me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then every now and then I'll email him or something
Yeah.
to say hello.
Yeah.
But I had all this music, and it all just kind of like from all different angles,
Mm-hmm.
rock and roll, folk music, orchestral stuff, just like, and I'm like, wow. And it wasn't until years later I was like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. I just stepped into it.
Yeah. You got all these things going.
So
That's kind of awesome.
that's the story with that.
Yeah. How did you start gigging? Like, did you gig as a band, in a band first?
I think
Like the idea of Seth Adam solo artist or whatever.
oh no, gigs were like the Sheehan variety show.
Yeah, sure.
Before that, different variety shows like the church variety show
Sure.
or
Or you played Black Sabbath tunes.
parties. There was this dude, his name was Tom Mikulinski, who was a guitar player who also took guitar lessons from Pat Russo.
Okay.
And I met him through this guy, Pete Wazalewski.
I remember that name.
Pete Wazalewski is in a band called Less Than Jake.
Oh, okay.
His father owned the funeral home.
Okay.
But anyway, like Pete and I were kindred spirits.
Yeah.
And then we started hanging out too, like in middle school. And he's like, oh, I know this guy Tom, he's a guitar player. And then eventually Tom and Pete and I were in a band, although I don't think we ever played a gig.
Oh, yeah.
But gigs were always like this elusive thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
until like later on,
Okay.
freshman year in high school,
Wow.
the Moose Lodge Hall
Oh, yeah.
gigs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Playing Enter Sandman covers.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff.
With Brian Konopka?
I think he did some. We did some together.
Yeah.
And then
Because you're saying you guys were all into hair metal. That was your thing. Or
yeah,
metal or whatever.
yeah,
Why not?
for a little while.
Yeah.
I was in the metal Motley Crue and
Sure.
Warrant and stuff, and then I got through Pat Russo. I got more into like Dream Theater and Queensryche, Fates Warning, Rush, like all the prog rock stuff. And Brian had kind of went into the Grateful Dead scene, and
Sure.
I don't know. It happens.
Yeah.
We're still friends.
Oh, yeah. No. No, Brian's awesome.
I love Brian. I love you, Brian. I ratted him out.
Did you?
Yeah.
In what way?
He told me. He's like, you ratted me out on the podcast.
Oh, really?
Telling John that I would get my lesson together 5 minutes before he
Oh,
showed up.
yeah, whatever. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. That's always the way it is.
Yeah.
So then you're like, I'm going to do the. So who was your inspiration to be like a solo guitar, to kind of start doing your thing?
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm going to be the one man kind of.
I mean, that didn't kind of come until later on. When I was younger, like my high school, post-high school years, I was still really into the prog rock thing. I had a prog rock band called Misconception.
Okay.
And I don't know, that was probably like 93 to 99-ish or something like that. And then by that point...
And you're playing guitar?
I was playing guitar.
Wow. Are you like shredding?
I was trying to.
Okay.
I had a drummer at one point in our band who told me that if I didn't play like Steve Vai by this time next year, that he had to quit the band.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Like I used to...
All right, jerk.
He used to give me a lot of anxiety, so I used to just sit in my room and...
You say, if you're not Mike Portnoy by next year, I'm quitting or whatever.
I should have said that.
But
yeah, it kind of like drove me to just practice. And then that whole thing ran its course.
Uh-huh.
Seattle was happening.
Sure.
Dave Matthews Band, grunge was happening.
Yep.
And I started like kind of dipping my toe into that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things I noticed that there was a lot of solo songwriters, solo artists coming out of that thing. And I shortly after that Misconception ended, I started a thing called the Seth Adam Band. How original.
Uh-huh.
Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah, but it's good. It's a good name.
But I was like, I'm gonna play acoustic guitar and get some good players, and we're gonna wear some of our influences on our sleeves and do that. that turned into a band thing, a more of a democratic thing.
Okay.
That ran its course after a while. And then I just went out as Seth Adam in probably 2005, 2006.
Gotcha.
And from that point on, it's just been like kind of like a Rolodex of players every now and then.
Yep.
I had a solid band at one point, but 2013-ish, well, this is a really long story.
Well, that's fine.
But I won't make it too complex or convoluted. 2013, I put out a record called Steel Tempered Pride. And at that point, you know how hard it is to keep a band together.
Yeah.
It's like the Del Paxton line in That Thing You Do. If you've ever seen that movie.
I haven't seen it in a while. But
and he goes, man, there ain't no way to keep a band together. You know, that's a Guy Patterson. So anyway, in 2013, I put out this record. The players in the band were fleeting. What's that?
Where'd you record it?
Some of it at a place called Galuminum Foil in Brooklyn, which is no longer there.
Okay.
The rest was at White House Productions, which is now Sage Sound Studios in Shelton.
Okay.
Shelton. Okay. Yeah. And there was a bunch of different players on the record, which I wasn't accustomed to.
Yeah.
And trying to like promote that record and do shows with the band was kind of like just became a piecemeal thing, and I wasn't used to that. I was like, no, you're supposed to be like the band.
Yeah.
You're a band of pirates, you know.
Sure.
And that wasn't happening. So I got really sad, and I drank a lot for a long time. Just kind of like wallowed around here and there, trying to put different players together, which was it just made it worse and frustrating. And I was playing this cover gig one time. I was getting tired of singing. I had this delay pedal on my board, and it had a loop feature. So I just like, I need to give my voice a rest. So I put the loop feature on, and I started playing What I Got from Sublime.
Sure.
And I was like, this is great. I can take rests, and I can kind of like guitar solo a little bit. And then it just kind of went from there. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cut back on the drinking. I'm going to do some wood shedding, and then just
put together.
And then I got into it a little bit. So now I have a lot of solo engagements.
Yeah.
Utilizing the loop thing, but not too heavy into it.
Yeah.
Where it becomes a crutch.
Yeah.
And, and once in a while I'll do a full band show, like, like we did at Cafe 9 a few years back.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier.
Yeah, right.
Nothing against bands. I wish I could have a band.
I know what you mean.
It's really hard. I think the bigger point of it is just like depending on people. I have a hard time. Letting go, and it's hard to depend on people.
Oh wow, far out.
Yeah, I have problems.
Wow, he has problems.
I have anxieties.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow, we get to the bottom of it all. Wow. No, that's all right. I hear you.
There's a lot of information there.
No, that's okay.
Sorry.
Two things before we forget. Because you mentioned yesterday when I was on your podcast that you had an Adam Derricks story.
Oh yeah.
Where does that fit? It doesn't have to be now, but just as they say, put a pin in it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or now. And then the other thing I forget. Oh, I remember. I mean, I don't really particularly engage in politics on this show or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember rehearsing with you.
I was going to tell this story last night, but
yeah, the night.
Yeah.
When Donald Trump won.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember that very well.
Oh.
We were all on our phones watching, and I remember you specifically. You were like, guys, something's wrong.
Ooh.
Something's wrong.
Ooh.
Something's not right here.
Ooh.
We're like, what? Like, it's in the
it's
bag, man. Don't worry about it. You were like, no. Something's wrong.
Really?
I'm like,
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I remember that. And we ended up so we were at the Space.
Yes.
In Hamden, hanging out with Steve. And there was a dozen people in the bar.
And we went across the way.
Yeah.
Into the outer space.
Yeah.
After we were done rehearsing.
Yeah. And it was like, it just ended up being me, you, and Steve. Because everyone was just like.
Everyone got depressed.
I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. Like driving home and just feeling like a dome coming over my world.
Yeah.
And it's still there.
Something
oddly. Sadly, sorry, but that's what I remember. I spent that night with you.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's a massive historical moment.
It's a historical moment, if nothing else. Believe it that way.
Can cause PTSD for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Funny story apropos of that, if I if it's cool.
Yeah.
So I got pretty drunk that night and got into arguments with people on social media.
Oh boy.
And I had to play in New York City the next day.
Okay.
At Sidewalk Cafe, which
Okay.
is actually, that's no longer there either.
Oh wow.
So I'm at the train station, and this conductor guy, this has never happened to me before. It's the most bizarre story.
Sure.
I'm sitting at the Sbarro at the
Sure.
New Haven train station.
Yeah, getting the big ziti or whatever.
Well,
yeah,
for me, it was more like hair of the dog, having a beer.
Oh, I see.
I'm groggy,
Oh,
and I'm
man.
like angry, and I'm like
Yeah,
in
sure.
shock.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And this guy walks up to me, one of these conductors, and he's like, what are you doing? You a musician?
Yeah.
Because I had my guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm playing. And I was like, dude, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And he just kept on talking. I was like, well, why am I being a jerk? Let me just.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I wasn't mean to him.
Yeah.
I just, in my head, I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. So I was like, opened up and I'm talking. And he's like, so what do you play? And I explained everything. He's like, wow, that sounds really interesting. A lot of fun. He's like, do you have any CDs or anything like that? And I was like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. And he just bought one on the spot.
Hey.
And just super kind.
Wow.
And I remember thinking on the way to New York, I was like, wow, there's still kindness in the world from random, complete strangers.
Yeah.
I can't give up on this yet.
Right.
You know?
And that still is.
And I couldn't believe it that it happened after such a pivotal moment in the country's history. Like, when you think evil has taken over, it really hasn't.
Right.
So it gave me a renewed sense of optimism.
Amen.
You know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you need a sign every once in a while. That's cool.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. And then, of course, this would be completely, would have nothing to do with anything, but imagine he gets your CD and he's like, let's go, Brandon! You know, even though it was no. You know,
there's no Brandon.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. All right, so that happened.
Yeah.
How does Adam Derricks fit? Do you want to do that now? You
don't have to. So I'm a big Counting Crows fan.
Sure.
And that's a funny story too.
Yeah.
I got into them. I hated Counting Crows. I hated the band.
Wow.
I was like, Dream Theater, there isn't enough notes in Counting Crows, you know?
Sure.
And I remember trying to put a cover duo together with this guy, Jeff. And one of the songs that he picked was Mr. Jones.
Sure.
And I was like, oh yeah, I know the song. It's on a million times.
Yeah.
I get the CD from my sister's room and I put it on. I'm like, what is the allure of this band?
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So I take the liner out and I'm reading the lyrics and I'm listening to it and I'm like, epiphany. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, me too.
This guy is writing what I feel.
Yeah.
And like, you know what? And the music is actually pretty good. Like, it's really well constructed. It's sparse.
The band is really good.
Everything is in its spot. And which actually, that's stirring up another story, actually. But anyway, to continue along with this, I became a big Counting Crows fan over the years.
Sure.
Fast forward, Adam Derricks is doing this thing with this blogger. His name is Ryan Spalding. Super cool guy.
Okay.
He's out of Boston. They do this thing called the Outlaw Road Show.
Okay.
And it's at the Bowery Electric Club in New York.
Okay.
And, they basically just highlight different independent bands.
Sure.
It's like a little 2-day festival at the club. I apply one year, get in. And I'm like, no way. So I play the show. I'm sitting in the room, and Adam is in the room, using one of those, his voice was gone, so he was using like one of those, like, type out the words and show it off.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, I hope everybody, including him, stays in here.
Oh, wow.
And by the time my set comes on, and by the time my set came on, there was 5 people in the room.
Oh.
Everybody was gone. And halfway through my set, 5 songs in, the staff is like, all right, you got to wrap it up. We're doing our dance party now. I'm like, are you serious?
Oh,
man. I had a hotel room and everything.
Yeah.
So naturally, I went back to the hotel and got hammered. And I'm like, man, I have to go back to work tomorrow. This is awful. Like,
Yeah.
So the next year, I apply again. Ryan's like, hey, man, I'm really sorry. We're actually shortening it up this year. But Adam's apartment in New York, which was
wow.
like a few blocks away from the club. Adam's doing this thing called the what was it? The Garden Sessions.
Okay.
So he's got like this AstroTurf in his apartment.
Nice.
And I'm like, wait a second, dude. Whoa. You're telling me I'm gonna play at Adam Derricks' house? And he's, yeah. I'm like, of course. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. In my head, I'm like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
So so I play at the Garden Sessions, do a few songs. They tape it, video, like super pro.
Yeah.
There's like 7 cameras on. Super cool. He was like in the back of the room. And
Nice place.
Yeah.
He has a nice setup.
You know what? It's like,
I'm just curious.
It's like an old factory building.
Yeah.
And he just has this huge room with a huge kitchen.
It's like a loft or something.
There is so much tchotchke, not to like talk about
yeah, sure.
place,
Well, yeah,
so much tchotchke and records and just like interesting stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like walking through a museum.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people there. And I'm like, this little guy from Wallingford hanging out with these like kind of like bigger people from New York.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to like be cool because you got to kind of have that like that New York cool attitude. Like, yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, I'm not in Adam Derricks' house.
No, I'm not here. And I'm like, man, let me just play good so he can hear me hopefully and be like, hey, I like that guy.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
What?
No. So I played the songs. I had a great set, 3 songs. And then Ryan was like, hey, do you want to go over to the Bowery later? And I was like, all right, cool. So I go to the show. I'm hanging out, watching some bands, and Adam Derricks is there. He's like this distance from me. This dude walks up with his girlfriend. He's like, hey, man, can we get a picture? And he's like, I'm really sorry, man. Like, if I do it for you, I have to do it for everybody. I'm just kind of here to hang out. And I was like, oh, all right. This is my chance. So I scurry over and I was like, happened to you a lot? He's like, yeah, no biggie.
Sure.
And I'm like, hi, my name's Seth. I'm like, you're such a huge influence on me, and I just wanted to tell you that. Can I buy you a beer? And he's like, no, I'm good. Thank you. And I'm like, oh, that's all I wanted to say. And that was it.
That's it?
And I'm like, holy crap.
Whoa.
And it's so weird to put people on a pedestal like that.
Well, I've done it.
But that was my my equivalent.
I thought you were going to say,
story.
hey, man, I saw you last year. You were great.
No, that didn't happen. No. I wish, but
Well.
But it was pretty cool, like to be able to tell somebody how much they mean to you.
I've done that.
Sometimes that's just enough to be able to say it, and whether they heard it or not, whether they take it to heart, whatever.
I hear you.
Yeah,
we've all done that. Yeah. I found myself in a club in New York, and Dave Grohl was there, over there.
Oh my God.
And I just was like, I don't care. I'm just gonna go over. And he was totally cool. Same thing. I just said, I don't want to bug you. Can I briefly?
I just want to tell you. You're awesome.
Yeah, and the thing that was funny, he was with record company people, and he's like, talk to me. I don't even want to go over there. I'm like, okay.
That's beautiful.
Trying to make conversation, keep the conversation going as long as I could.
That's great.
I might have already told the story. I don't want to talk about me. I don't want to make it quick. But are you a Foo Fighters fan? Do you know the whole?
I am. I don't know the whole catalog, but I love them.
So there was a period. All right. So I was there watching another band, Doyle Bramwell Jr. Do you know him?
Name sounds so familiar.
Anyway, I was there to see them, and Dave Grohl's there.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. So I'm kind of talking to Dave Grohl, and I'm trying to keep the conversation going. Like, so what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I'm with record company people, and he's on my label, and we're going upstairs. I'm playing them. We finished a new album, and I'm playing it for the Suits.
Yeah.
And he's like, come up if you want after, and I'm like, for real? Wow. And he's like, yeah, when we leave, we're going up there, that door, and just fall in. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, sure.
Wow.
Whatever. So I'm like, great. And I said, all right, I'm going to leave you alone. And he goes, when you see us move, just, come with us. And I'm like, okay, great. So the thing is over. And then I see him and his group kind of going over to the VIP, and I kind of like got in the thing. And as soon as I got to like the door, the guy just looks at me and he goes, beat it.
Oh.
And I was like, all right, okay. I wasn't going to go, but Dave said, because I kind of got separated from Dave. And he's just like, no. I'm like, all right, okay, fair enough. And then I found out later that record got rejected.
Oh my gosh.
And they recut it.
Wow.
Yeah, so I could have heard something that no one ever heard.
Day.
But people still talk about it. They call it the $1 million demo. He made the whole album.
Yeah.
And the record company was like, I don't know. And then he said, let me recut it. But I could have actually heard it. But Instead, I got the Beat It, Kiddo.
That's so amazing.
And I was like, all right, that's fair enough, whatever.
Wow.
So I know the feeling. But I did get to tell him. I said, I'm sorry. I need to tell you, I know it doesn't matter, but I'm a drummer. You're a drummer. You're great. I love you. I love all your stuff. I think you're great. I think you know.
You have an inviting quality about how you carry yourself.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. You do. And I think that's probably part of the reason why he's like, you should come hang out.
I think so. Yeah, I wasn't like,
I mean,
I just figured the worst.
Don't let it go to your head, what I said.
I figured the worst thing that's going to happen is we're not going to hit it off, and I'll just be like, fair enough.
Yeah,
I don't need to get in. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's not what we were talking about.
Makes sense.
I love Adam Derricks, too. I love that record.
Yeah.
I remember, don't you think that's like one of those albums, when I first heard that, I heard Mr. Jones. Let me check this out. Yeah. And it was like Round Here. Just when that song's over, you're like, wow, there's more songs?
Yeah.
You're like, that's fine. This would have been good. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I there's very few bands that I follow their entire catalog.
Yeah.
That is one of them.
Hey, cool.
There's tons of people that are like, after Mr. Jones, they're like, what? Or maybe they were into him up until like Along December.
I have to admit, I didn't follow him too.
After that, but I love them.
Cool.
They're making some great music still.
Oh, good. I fell into the wormhole or whatever, and I was watching YouTube clips, and I watched them playing like Round Here on Letterman when they first came out, and they were great.
Oh, dude,
because you forget
fire.
Yeah. You take it for granted. You know these guys, and I'm like, man, like this band is really good.
Yeah.
The drummer was, it was great, and they weren't just playing parts. It's like, oh, they were playing the song like different, and I was like, oh, these guys are for real. They're for real.
Apropos of that.
Yeah.
So one of my stories I was going to say before about Counting Crows, I went to go see them on the Hard Candy Tour in Westerly, Rhode Island at it's URI.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
URI.
I think so.
And it was like a Tuesday night. They had kind of like fallen out of they weren't as big as they used to be.
Sure.
So it was like the early 2000s. And it was like a Tuesday night. It was their arena, which I don't know. Maybe held 10,000 people.
Okay.
But there's 3,000 people there.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, man, this is weird.
Yeah,
I would totally expect more people here. But they came on, 7 guys in the band, and just like slayed it.
Yeah.
As if they were playing their last show. And I was like, wait, this is an education. There's 7 guys on the band here. None of them are stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah.
They're all giving their space, their time to shine. I'm like, that's how a band plays.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
That was great.
Killer. Yeah. No, I'm all for it. Yeah, that's cool. Who else?
Who else?
For you?
Influence?
Yeah,
Oh man, I love the Jayhawks.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I haven't thought about them in a while.
Yeah. Sun Volt.
Okay.
Wilco.
Yeah.
But I like a lot of music. I mean, I love Mariah Carey. I love Slayer.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah,
I'm,
sure.
I'm kind of. We were talking about it the other day,
Yeah.
Or yesterday. Like, you're kind of like, I love everything,
yeah.
and I really am. I'm all over the map because I go back to Fred Rosamondo, who introduced me to like orchestral pieces, the Beatles, Buddy Holly.
You ever play Spike Jones for
pieces.
you? He used to do that for us. That was
may have so long ago.
Yeah, it was like a treat day. He'd be like, "We're gonna listen to Spike Jones." You ever listen to Spike Jones? It's like old comedy, like from maybe the 50s or something. But it was like, I don't know, doesn't matter. But yeah, he would turn us on to stuff.
Yeah, what am I listening to now? I mean, Led Zeppelin.
Sure.
How do you not?
Always, right?
Yeah, it's just.
What's your favorite Zeppelin album?
Man,
is it?
Oh my God. I think I'm like the underdog guy. I love Physical Graffiti. Really love Presence.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
I think it's just such an underrated album.
I agree.
There's so many little gold mines on it,
Yep, I agree.
If you really dive deep into it.
Yeah, I like Presence. Yeah, it's funny.
What about you?
Oddly, when I didn't grow up with Zeppelin like most people.
Yeah.
I came to them later. Like I was like in the middle of my 20s before I was like, let me get to the bottom of this. So I went in order, and the impact that first album had on my world.
Yeah.
that's still my favorite, even though, I don't know how. But there was just, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Because I would hear songs on the radio, but I didn't know how it all was. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that record. I like the odd numbers. I like 1. I like 3.
I love 3.
Yeah, I love 3. I love Houses of the Holy, and I love Presence.
Yeah.
And then there's the other ones fit in between. But
sure.
Anyway, for whatever reason. But yeah.
Well, kind of in relation to what we were talking about last night, as far as like music goes and me and trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah.
At one point in my life, I was probably at Cafe 9, I think, and I was like watching a weird punk band or avant-garde band.
Sure.
And it like dawned on me, I'm like, why do people like this? There's people here.
Yeah.
But people like it. So that means to me, there must be something here that people can take away from it.
Sure.
No matter what it is. And
Yeah.
so to this day, I just always keep that in mind. I may not like it, may not fall in love with it, but there's some quality about it, the music, that people can take away.
Yeah.
And I try to find that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I almost feel like it's kind of like musicians are kind of like politicians in a way. Like they speak for you in a way that you can't speak. It's kind of like what you would like to say is out there. And I just realized, sometimes people have different things to say than I would. And I just think, this is speaking to and for somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe not me, but who cares? Because probably what I would speak or say, they'd be like, who cares?
Sure.
It's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the way it is, I think. Right?
I think so.
Something like that.
I mean, people hated Metallica.
Yeah,
thought
right.
They were garbage, but it spoke for a whole bunch of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And
now look at them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess so. That was one of your big main bands.
I liked Metallica. I got into them late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go down that route fully yet. It's on the list. There's always a list of people I got to get to.
Yeah.
That's something I missed.
Yeah.
Eventually I'll get there. But I've been Slayer top to bottom.
Oh.
Yeah. For whatever reason.
They're so crazy good.
Yeah. Yeah. Dark. I saw them with Dave Lombardo at Toads. And it was crazy, as we know.
Yeah.
I just was trying to understand what he's doing, and I'm just kind of like, I'm out. I'm already out. Like 30 seconds in, I'm like, nah, I don't know. I couldn't do this. I could never do this. I could never do
I think he couldn't do it after a while. Didn't he stop for a little bit?
I think so. He was on fire. When I saw him, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a thing.
Sure is.
So how many albums have you made?
I have made total?
Yeah.
I mean, including the prog rock records.
Well, I don't know. As Seth
Adam.
Yeah.
I have 4 albums. I just finished up my 4th album.
Yeah.
Which is the hard copies out now.
Sure.
The streaming stuff happens in October.
Yeah.
I'm trying to encourage the physical thing because I just think it's much cooler.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. People like the streaming thing. I use streaming. A lot of the earlier stuff, I wanted to say things that I couldn't say because of people around me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were typically like a lot of brokenhearted love songs.
Sure.
Some small experience songs, but a lot of like brokenhearted, unrequited love.
You're not brokenhearted
kind of
anymore.
I'm not. And I'm happily married with 2 little kids. And now I'm more of an observer of the world as a whole.
Yeah.
And how I fit into it.
Yep.
And I kind of write from that perspective. And this record is really, the new record's called Fits and Starts and Stops. And this one is really the one where I feel like I could actually say what I wanted to say unfiltered. Cool. And I did everything, not to like brag.
Well, no.
I did everything on the record except for 2 guitar solos.
Wow.
My buddy Jeff Burnham played 1 solo.
Okay.
My buddy Jerry Jimo played another solo, another song. I just wanted to have them on for fun.
Yeah.
And then I had David Keith played drums on the track.
Cool.
Everything else I did.
You played drums on everything.
Yeah.
That's killer.
But there's one song that's not really drums. Oh, there's one song that has no drums. So. Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, I really got to dive into recording even more.
So you made this at your place?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first one?
Mm-hmm.
from top to bottom.
I did an EP like that a few years ago,
Uh-huh.
but this one was scrutinized a little bit more.
Cool. You
and
just thought,
all those things that I learned along the way were applied to this new record.
yeah. Was it easier or harder than you thought it was going to be doing it all yourself, or was it just a natural by the time you got there, you're like, I got this?
Funny you should ask that, because like halfway through, I was like, oh man, I really created a lot of work for myself here, but I got to do it.
Oh boy.
And I don't want to say it's from a place of selfishness, but it's I'm a tad bit of a control freak. I have a hard time letting go.
Oh, well, that's all right.
And I mean, and part of it too is like between my schedule and my kids, with my wife's schedule, I play a lot, like 3 to 5 nights a week. So like, I don't have extra time or money to go to studios really.
Sure.
Not at this point in my life.
Right.
I did before, but not anymore. So this way, I kind of work on my own pace.
Yep.
I don't have to worry about other people scheduling. Oh, I can get the drummer on in this night, but the studio is not available.
I just play the freaking drums myself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
And I like it. You know, it's a lot of work, but I like it.
Yeah. Did you always play drums? Like, did you have to like get your drum thing back, or you just like, I could play music songs?
No, I had to get back.
Wow.
So I met my friend Jeff Burnham. He's another singer-songwriter guy out of Chaplin, Connecticut. He came to see me one night play with another player from his old band. The band was called Tuesday Saints. And he looked me up and was talking to me, gave me a CD, and I was like, yeah, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And one day I picked up the CD and I put it on. I'm like, oh my God, this is really good.
Yeah,
like,
we're just
kind of feel like a jerk that I kind of blew him off. You know? And so I got in touch with him and I was like, I really like your songs. Are you looking for a drummer?
Oh, wow.
And he's like, you would come up play with drums with us? I'm like, dude, I've toured all over the country. Like, Chaplin's an hour away. I'll come up and play drums, you know?
Wow.
So that kind of incentivized me to kind of get back into it.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And then from there, I've just been trying to slowly work back into it.
So you're like the drummer in his band.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then 6 months before I started tracking my record, I started getting myself into a really daily routine, going over all my super basic rudiments, but you know, just being able to, I'm not a chops player, but being able to just feel fluid enough and confident enough. And that was it.
That's killer.
And now I haven't played in like 3 months because I had another daughter.
Oh boy.
Back in May.
Wow.
So I'm a little off.
Congratulations.
But there's new space being created now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to get back into it and aligning.
Yeah.
It really brings me
with
back
the
to
primal.
center. Yeah. Yeah.
Killer. That's cool. A drummer in someone else's band.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's fun.
Yeah. And so pretty much play everything.
I try.
Yeah, why not?
I'm not nearly as good as other people, but
Yeah, but so what? You make it happen.
yeah.
Right?
As
Don't
long
write-
as people dance.
Don't write right. Don't write songs that you can't play.
Exactly.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's killer. Do you write like consistently often, or like write for like in your mind go, okay, I'm making an album? Like, I don't know how it works. I've never been a prolific.
I'm not prolific at all, but I constantly get ideas.
Yeah.
So I just write them down.
I see.
I have an iPhone full and an iTunes at home full of just like ideas. Like every once in a while I'll go back to them.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, I forgot about this. I have to do something with it. So,
Oh.
but they're not whole songs until I feel like I can sit down and complete it.
Yeah.
Like I started a song a few weeks after my first daughter was born. I just finished it.
Yeah, and she just graduated high school. Imagine.
I just finished it like 2 months ago.
Oh.
It's just the way it happens sometimes. You know?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, they write every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, when I was in college, I went to college for art.
Oh, wow.
And the professors were like, you got to draw every day. You got to paint every day.
I see.
Doesn't mean you got to keep it. Doesn't mean you got to like it, but it's
Yeah.
just to keep. It's almost like practice.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see that perspective from songwriting.
Yeah.
That's not what I do.
It doesn't work for
But
you.
I try to, I just try to explore ideas and when the time is right. And sometimes I do force myself. I'm like, got to grease these wheels.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't have like a back catalog of songs that
right.
are just sitting around waiting.
Yeah, just curious. I don't know how people are.
Yeah.
Wow. art. What kind of art? How? I don't know anything about art.
I don't know anything about art either. And
Really?
I went to college for it. No, I worked for this guy, Noel, as an apprentice.
Okay.
He had a magazine and a website, like a CD. He sold CDs on the website. I got really interested into graphic design.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to go back to school for this. So I went back to school for it. And a whole new world of art opened up to me.
Yeah.
And I was really into it. When I graduated, I was like, I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to be a big-time graphic designer during the day and play, bass gig, drum gig, guitar gig or something at night.
Yeah, why not?
Whatever. Just like totally just get out there.
Why not?
And it was just too expensive. And I had a dog, and I was like, I'm just going to stay home. real, no peak in value to that story. I was like,
Oh, it happens.
But yeah, I mean, I love art. There's a lot of similarities.
You don't regret it?
No, because
Did you get student loan debt relief?
No, I already paid off my loans.
Hey,
yeah, before that happened.
I guess.
And I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But art, visual art and music, they have their placements, their timing, their cadence, their layers, So it all made sense to me.
Did it broaden your songwriting, you feel like? Or maybe in ways that you don't even know. Maybe.
I think just being a songwriter helped me understand art better.
I see. Wow.
Yeah.
The other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. It's kind of cool. Do you use it? Did you design your thing?
I did.
Oh, hey.
I do all my own graphic design.
See? You do everything.
Yeah.
You are a control freak.
I am a control freak. I don't have to pay anybody.
Yeah, that too.
No, it's just, I like doing it.
Hey, man.
That's it.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Do it all. That's cool. Wow.
Ani DeFranco. That's who I was trying to think of before. She's another DIYer, hardcore DIYer. Oh,
yeah. Remember? She was like one of the first people
that
we used to hear about back then that was like DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, far out. Yeah, we could cruise near the not the closing question, but the kind of closing questions.
Sure.
I guess just to fill in the blanks. Is there anything you want to talk about or add? Before we kind of get close to that we did not talk about, because all the time, oh man, I forgot to talk about my,
That's gonna happen regardless.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
No, I don't have anything.
No.
I got something to say.
Okay, I'm ready.
I wish schools
Schools
would stop cutting art funding and music funding and give more money to those programs.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the football teams or the basketball. Nothing against the sports teams.
Sure.
Nothing against them at all.
Yeah, we don't all operate the same way.
Yeah. People learn differently.
I agree.
A lot of people learn through art.
I agree.
It's so important, and we should not cut those programs.
No.
That's all I'm going to say.
Why, you got problems in Hamden or just anywhere?
Just in general.
Yeah.
You see it a lot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I guess they feel that it's not important or there's only one way to learn or whatever.
And I guess it kind of ties back in. I can't imagine someone being lucky enough these days to have a Fred Rossimondo.
I know.
I don't know.
I don't know
if...
Well, we don't know who's there. Well, actually, I do know who's there now.
I mean, hopefully it does exist.
Judd Klobowski, you know him. He's a musician. He's a cool dude. He's probably doing it up.
Okay.
He's a really good player.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But no, I know what you mean, man. We were incredibly lucky. Yeah, Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I wonder if I could ever get him in this chair.
I'll send him an email.
Could you?
Yeah, I ran into him in a...
That would be amazing.
Now
there's someone, imagine you get to say, by the way,
yeah,
you made a difference.
And I had his wife, Josephine, in one of my sculpturing classes in college.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, I ran into Fred and Josephine at an Aldi one time. Like
I haven't seen him in years.
Like a year ago, and I was like, "Hey, Mr. Rossimondo," and I was talking to him, and I was like, "Can I send you an email?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So,
hey, that's cool.
Yeah,
maybe we'll hook it up, man. That would be amazing.
I don't know if he'll do it, but
yeah, who knows? All right, Desert Island albums.
Oh man.
Yeah, just a few. or whatever.
August and everything after.
Yeah, sure. No argument here.
Sgt. Pepper's.
Sure.
The
remix. Have you heard the remix?
I have.
Oh man,
the drums are unbelievable. I'm like, how'd you guys do that?
Yeah,
but it kind of like takes away the.
You gotta have both. You gotta have it all.
Yeah.
You gotta have it all.
Oh man, I knew you were gonna ask this too, and I totally forgot. John Coltrane's
Love Supreme.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I was trying to help. I don't know John Coltrane.
I was thinking of man, what was I thinking of?
I don't know.
My favorite things.
Oh,
which might have been like a B-side record or something.
I don't. You know
that's what I have.
I'm the wrong dude for that.
I'm probably the wrong guy, but it was a
you
tremendously influential album on me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Run DMC's "Raising Hell."
Hey, yeah,
that was huge.
Yeah, I hear that.
And Check Your Head.
Yeah, Check Your Head. Yeah, Paul's Boutique. Actually,
Paul's Boutique.
1, 2, 3. I mean, even License to Ill.
Yeah.
Even. But I remember Paul's Boutique was like, oh.
That was like a game changer.
And then Check Your Head changed. Yeah. Like they
changed again.
Yeah.
Like, what did you guys do?
Yeah.
So creative.
Yeah. Don't you think in a way, in some kind of way, because they were as big as they were, in a certain sense, somebody are going to go, oh, it's blasphemy. The Beastie Boys were almost like our Beatles in a way. We went where they went.
Sure.
They would,
absolutely.
When they did something, we were like, okay, this is the way we're going to be now for a while. And then they're kind of followed them for a while.
That's a good point.
When they switched it up, I always felt like they introduced me to things, or at least crystallized, because I was like into old dusty funk too, but I didn't think anyone else was. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
hey, cool. Anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing how they brought that into a whole new generation.
Yeah.
Just like brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. Great stuff. Did you ever read the Beastie Boys book? Is one of the best books ever.
No, but I'm on the hunt for more of that stuff. So I didn't know they had one.
It's a great book.
I'm going to look it up now.
It's great. It's endlessly entertaining.
I read Jeff Tweedy's book.
No.
Bruce Springsteen's book.
Sure.
Elton John's book.
Sure.
Started reading the Elliott Smith book.
Oh, wow.
But
he dies at the end. Sorry, that's not funny.
Oh man,
not funny at all.
So terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. What an asshole. Sorry. Oh,
John.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just tore through a whole bunch. What did I read? I read Art Garfunkel's book. I read Flea's book, and I read Glenn John's book.
Glenn Johns has a book?
Yeah.
Ooh, I gotta get that.
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
I was just talking about Glenn Johns before.
It's pretty wild.
Started.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Wow.
Desert Island Food. Ooh.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I like eggplant parmesan.
Oh, that's right.
Absolutely.
We were just talking about that.
Eggplant parmesan.
That's funny.
Yeah. Not pizza, not sushi. I love eggplant.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever had it on purpose.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good.
That's cool. I can get into that.
Yeah.
So all right, consistent practicer of your instrument. Who cares? When you need to be. No, I'm just saying. Like I'm trying to think, because we kind of talked about, like, these questions are to hit on things that maybe we didn't, but I think we kind of talked about that in a roundabout way. Was there one or two live shows that you saw that changed your trajectory? That you were like, oh, wow.
Probably that Counting Crows show I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That was like, and I had seen shows before, and I got like bands playing, like guys played together really well. But that was one I was like, wow, they have this like orchestral quality about it, where nobody's stepping on each other's toes, and the parts are right. And the other one actually was probably Elton John.
Wow.
On his most recent tour, which I saw before COVID happened.
Hey.
And that was just
Nigel Olsen still. Love him. One of my favorite. I'm not even a big Elton John fan, but I love Elton John.
Yeah.
I love Nigel Olsen.
And like another example of a band playing together that doesn't step on each other's toes. That like, nobody's trying to be this. Not even Elton's trying to be like the star.
I know. Can you imagine?
Like he really gives it up to.
Yeah.
Oh my God, why am I forgetting?
Davy Johnson.
Davy Johnson, thank you. And lets people play.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah. He seems like a really cool dude. I like Elton
And it's
John.
nice to see older generation. Like, you feel like you can kind of learn something from that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm into that. Yeah, that's cool. That must have been wild. Where was it? Madison Square Garden.
No, it was at the Nassau Coliseum out in Long Island.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
My wife and I had seen the movie. At the end of the movie, they tell you like he's on his farewell tour. I'm like, well, I have to go.
Hey, we gotta go.
I've never seen Petty, which is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And so sad. So we went.
Wow.
We had a great time.
Far out. Yeah, I never saw Elton John. I did see Tom Petty.
Wish I'd seen that.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, it's wild. There. What other questions? I forgot. I forgot my questions, man. I fell off my game. What are some of my other questions? Desert Island albums, Desert Island food, consistent practicer, mind-blowing shows. I'm thinking of a number 1 through 7.
5.
I don't even know. I didn't even have time to think of a number.
Favorite drummers.
Oh, yeah, sure. You know, drummers. Favorite drummer.
Favorite drummers?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We kind of talked about this yesterday. But
Favorite drummers. There's probably guys that I like that no one would even know about.
that's fine. That's what we're here for.
And definitely John Peckman.
Nah, stop it. You don't have to say it.
John Bonham. Everybody
Yeah,
says that.
Sure.
Cheryl Crow's old drummer, I'm like forgetting his name now, who now plays with Counting Crows.
Oh.
And oh my God.
Oh, no.
I'm spacing out on his name
All right.
right
It's
now.
all right. We'll get there.
Man.
I can't. I don't know if I remember. Counting Crow's old drummer?
Jim Bogios. That's
Oh,
his name.
yeah.
He's great.
Okay, cool.
And here's one for you.
I'm ready.
Not famous. My old drummer, Steve Toby.
I don't know him.
I love him.
Hey, that's cool.
I love his playing.
David
and
Keith.
David Keith.
Hey,
I love David
Yeah,
Keith.
sure. Yep.
I mean, I can name
Another
a bunch of famous people, but
Yeah. Well,
Um,
name some famous people. We got.
I don't want to name famous. They're already famous
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
I don't want to make them more famous. Kind of want to
Yeah.
keep it local.
Yeah. Yeah, local.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play with David and Steve at
Yeah.
different points in my life, and
That's cool.
I think they're both great players.
Yeah. Yeah. So give
And Brian Konopka.
Brian Konopka. Yep, definitely. He sounded great. I saw him
He does sound great.
Yeah. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is. It's like as I get old, I still think of people. I'm sure people think of me as a kid. Like I think of him, oh, that was pretty good. And I'm like, dude, he's a grown ass man. He's playing drums. I'm like, yeah, he's great. Sounds great. It's fine. Whatever.
Oh yeah, I still call people kid.
Yeah.
It's never gonna change.
Yeah.
I'll be like 80, like, oh, that's kid.
Yeah, hey, kid. Plug something that you're doing, and then we're out. You got on the horizon?
The big thing I got on the horizon is a hometown record release show Sunday, November 13th
Oh,
at
right.
Cafe 9.
Yeah. I heard that. Yes. You have Shelly on your show.
Yeah, Shelly
by the way.
Velasquez
Yeah.
is playing with her band. Her drummer, my God, it's Rich Dart.
Oh,
Do you know
yeah.
who he is?
Yeah.
He's great.
He's been here. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, we're sharing the night. It's a Sunday afternoon, so we're not going to be up late.
Right.
It's going to be
all
doors
old
at
now.
3, music at 4, over at 7.
Oh, that's cool.
She's celebrating 20 years of her first record called The Stupid Truth.
Which I love. I
I'm
remember that
celebrating my new album, Fits and Starts and Stops, and tickets are only going to be $5 in advance, $10 at the door.
record. I may be there.
And it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
And I have Nick Derricks. I don't know if you know who he is.
I don't know.
He's a good drummer.
Yeah.
I love Nick.
Yeah, cool.
Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have asked him.
Right.
to
You don't
play.
need to you don't need to deal with people you don't love at this point. Why?
Yeah.
Why bother?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, I'm going to press the button.
All right.
Are you ready? Don't get scared.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Seth Adam, singer, songwriter, guitar player, drummer, bass player, podcaster. I was on his podcast. Check it out, Seth Adam's podcast. If you want to hear me talk about myself, I don't know why you would. But in case you want to, you can. And this was the John Peckman Podcast. Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, look left. Like and subscribe, hit the bell. see you again next time. Thank you, Seth, for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, kids, that is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.